know it's your favorite host, Lewis Redway, and I am here with another Indie Talks. And of course, we search above and beyond to find some of the most incredible talent. And today's talent, I mean, so amazing. I mean, she's so well-rounded. She is a singer, amazing singer, songwriter, arranger, however, I mean, wear multiple hats. I tell you this, okay? And you're gonna be in for a treat for tonight's interview, all right? Thank you so much for being here tonight with us. I'm super, you're so beautiful.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
So, Zyah.
Everything's gonna be, everything's gonna be, everything's gonna be, everything's gonna be, everything gonna be okay. Everything is gonna be, everything is gonna be, everything is gonna be, everything is gonna be, everything gonna be okay. Oh, everything gonna be okay. Oh, everything gonna be okay. Oh, everything gonna be okay. Oh,
Yes.
Yes. I am thrilled to have you on our platform to talk about your creative works because the music is just, and I can't wait till we get like a full part and dive into the music part of it first and foremost. But before we do that, let's get to know you a little bit better. Let's literally talk about your beginnings because I know for you, not only music has always been a part of your life, you started so young.
Yeah.
Right. So kind of talk about that, especially I think what, 4 years old, piano.
Yes, I
Let's
know.
do you remember what actually kind of drew you into playing piano, or was it more of the parentals like, oh no, we're gonna have you go dibble in this?
No, so that's funny. Also, thank you for that beautiful introduction. That was so sweet. I love that. But yeah, it actually started with my grandfather who gave my mom an old organ when she was little.
Mm.
And so it's a tiny little organ and it has the little chord buttons on the side. I think I have it somewhere. And I guess she just put it in my room. She didn't really think much of it when I was little. And so I just like turned it on and started playing with it. And I do remember vaguely like playing Twinkle Twinkle Little Star. But I was like matching the chords to the melody. I couldn't play chords, but it had chord buttons like C major, G major, so I was just matching them. And my mom came into my room. She was just like, what are you doing? Like, how are you playing a real song? And I was like, I don't know. So it took a little while, but then that's when kind of the parental guidance came in. It took a couple years to like be able to afford lessons and stuff like that. But then by the time I was about 6, they put me in real lessons because I continued to just, play by ear as a small child. So yeah.
I love it because when I hear artists say like when they originally was like start playing instruments, especially musicians, and they talk about ear and then kind of go more into like learning theory part of it and really
Yeah.
understanding the proper, channels and chords and things of that nature. Now, when you started this and you started properly getting the form that you needed, you studied classical music.
I did.
So how did that help shape your discipline in not only just being creative, but also in your songwriting, using that instrument into your songwriting?
Yeah, no, 1,000%. I feel like one classical is completely different world, right? So it's a lot more structured. The teachers that I had, they were, a lot of them were from like Eastern Europe, completely different culture, very rigid, very by the book. And so I think that aspect taught me to give myself grace and taught me how to push through um difficulty. I know that sounds kind of cheesy, but on like I would get so frustrated to the point of tears. And so pushing through that kind of allowed me, it made it a lot easier when it comes to creating your own music, right? Because there are no rules when it comes to
Right.
creating your own, but there are frustrations with like writer's block and those kind of things. So I think that classical discipline kind of gave me a scope of being able to zoom out and be like, okay, look, the song doesn't sound that good right now. You're frustrated. It's okay. But the more that you practice, you're going to get to that final, recital ready, performance ready level of playing. And so it kind of transitions into making your own music and being performance ready for the stage and stuff like that. So yeah, it definitely poured into it.
And I definitely understand because growing up, my parents had my twin sister and I take piano lessons. So, and it was more classical. So I definitely understand the discipline. And
Yeah.
ask me if I'm fluent now. No, not at all. Definitely not. But when would you felt like you say like that you knew the pivotal moment besides playing and understanding this instrument and being able to utilize it for you as a singer? When did you know that it was a pivotal moment for you? Like you knew like, oh, this is my road, this is my journey. And this is just happened something I learned to bring along this with me.
Yeah, yeah. You know what? It definitely was very gradual because I was very shy as a kid. And so I kind of hid behind the piano. I didn't have to use my voice. I didn't have to, I could just let the work of my fingers speak for me, head down,
Yeah,
do
head
my
down,
thing.
keys, you know.
Exactly. But I think one, it kind of started first of me trying to deviate from classical. I would try to add my own little licks and riffs, or I would be in church and be like, ooh, these chords sound way different than Beethoven. Like, how do I play like that?
Mm.
And so I kind of did both separately. Like I was in choir and then I played piano. And so I think as I started performing more singing wise, I was like, how can I make myself stand out more? And so I was like, well, I play piano. Why don't I do both? And that because there are a lot of singers that can't play, there's a lot of people that can play that can't sing. If I can do both, I feel like that will make me stand out more, especially coming up in Dallas and all of that. So that's kind of how that came together, and I think I did it one or two times, and people were very moved by it, and seeing that reaction I was like, oh, I think I got something, I think I got something.
Now, did you get a lot of comparisons with when it comes to like, okay, we got her, then we got Alicia Keys. I think Alicia Keys was like the major
No,
like aesthetic when it came to vocals and the piano.
1,000. Oh yeah, little Alicia Keys, little Alicia Keys. I've got that all. Are you gonna be like Alicia Keys? I have heard that endless amount of times. And then of course it's like she's gonna be with previous labels and stuff like that. Like we want to market her as like a female John Legend.
Mm,
That was so I do think when you play keys and you sing and you're Black, is you automatically
you're
get put in
grouped
a box.
in. Yeah.
And it's like it took me a long time to kind of find my voice and how do I want to sound. And I know that's getting like deeper into things. But yes, I definitely got those comparisons early on.
Now, the one thing I love about it, as like you said, being in Dallas. Now, Dallas, there, I mean, just a musical area. And then when we think about a lot of artists that had come up from out of, Dallas, Houston, things, the areas and as such, right? Talk about how the Dallas scene shaped you to be confident into the music and into your sound a little earlier on.
Yeah, I mean, well, it's nothing like New York, okay? Because New York, y'all are a tough crowd to police. Y'all are
You got to
notorious.
come hard for us to make sure we there with you.
Okay, only the best of the best can get a crack a smile in a New York crowd. Okay,
We showing up. Look,
right.
okay.
Exactly. So it wasn't that as hard as that, but I will say it was difficulty in Dallas as far as it's a huge city. It's like the top four radio market in the country, but it doesn't have industry. There are no labels. There are no, so it's very hard to break out of Dallas. And so I think that's where I kind of got my grit from Dallas. This is, I mean, it is what it is. Dallas does not support their own local art. It's just been a thing for years.
Like that, yeah.
Yeah, they support out of state, or they support if you go make it out in LA, or you make it in New York and then you come back, like a Post Malone. A lot of people don't know that, but he grew up in North Texas, you know. And so he was born in New York, I guess, but he came up in Texas. And but it wasn't until he left, blew up, and now everybody in Dallas claims Post
Like, oh,
Malone, and
you
oh yeah,
okay.
you're from here. But there's no way he would be what he was trying to like build up in Dallas. And so I think that's what I learned, is that how to navigate lack of industry, lack of resources, and to just be extremely resilient. And I did learn a lot about competition. It's very political here, and politics is big in music anyway, right? So when you go to a New York, or when you get signed to a label, you're out there in LA, you learn it's even more political and competitive. So I think I kind of got the training wheels of that coming up through Dallas.
Now, being able to not only just, perform within Dallas, but performing in other venues outside of Dallas, right?
Mhm.
Not only that, you was able to tour nationally, as well. And you did that with the Def Jam and the Conversier, the Icons on a Rise tour, which is amazing, and it's still, hats off to you in regards to that. What would you say has been one of the biggest lessons you learned in transitioning, from performing, especially touring?
Yeah.
Because, like you said, sometimes you got to go outside of the box or outside of the home, and that
Mhm.
takes a lot in itself, especially money, right?
It does, yeah.
And support.
Mhm.
So, what was some of those lessons, whether good or bad, that you felt like you took, and especially understanding that transition
Yeah.
at a young age?
Yeah. That's a great question. Wow. I think one, it taught me that like being faithful and dedicated to something smaller prepares you for a bigger. So the same way that if you're showing up late to your shows in Dallas, if you don't rehearse, if you don't get over your nerves, by the time you start touring nationally, like you're not gonna make it. It's gonna be really difficult for you. So I think it really helped me to, get my chops up. And it also, um I feel like it just helped me learn um stamina.
Mm.
Like, you don't realize until you actually get out on the road that it's not just about the performance, it's the travel getting there, it's the rehearsing, it's the mic checking, it's the talking to the fans after all night long, eating the worst food at 2 3 o'clock in the morning, and then have to get up and do the same thing over
Yeah.
and over and over again. It is not for the weak.
Everything when you're on the road.
Is everything. It's everything. I love the Michael Jackson, it's a little Michael Jackson clip, and they ask him about touring. He's like, I hate it.
He said, I hate it.
I hate it.
I don't think that's the fastest Michael ever answered a question.
And like, I can't even imagine on that level. Like,
Mm.
and it's not that you don't care about your fans and that you don't
Right.
appreciate the support and that you're not grateful, but y'all, like, for other artists like coming up, like, this is not fantasy land, this is the real world, and it's not a game.
Right.
It's not a game.
And I think it's amazing that you pinpoint that. The reason being is because, we talk to a lot of artists, and they're just like, well, I want to put together a tour. I want to do this and do that. I'm like, there's so much things you have to build up. Not only on the vocal side, like, arrangement and understanding, putting in the proper transitions and knowing that you got the right vocalist with you. The things like you said, just building the stamina, right? Because there might be, say for instance, you may have to do press, you may have to do media, you may have to be up by 5 a.m., 6 a.m., you on hitting the radio shows or the podcast or whatever the deal is, and then guess what? You got to go right into mic checks,
Yeah.
and then you got to get makeup and hair and whatever you're doing, together or whatever the deal is, right? And then do run throughs. God forbid if you add in choreography, right?
Oh my gosh.
So
No.
you
Or
gotta have
live music.
that,
Yeah.
right?
Mm-hmm.
So I think a lot of people really don't understand, and I love that you touched on that. And especially when you're doing this, there was another point that you made as well when you stated that knowing not to be late, and knowing that, because sometimes as well, even as a start as an artist, right? Some people you can't play with people's time. You can't play. You can't burn bridges. Nothing. Like people be like, look, you 5 minutes, we good.
Mm-hmm.
Done. They will forever remember you. You're ever forever etched into their brains. Like, oh, you
Yeah.
can't come back. You're
Yeah.
good. And
Mm-hmm.
I think that's so important. And I just love, love, love that you touched on that first
Yeah.
and foremost.
Mm-hmm.
Let's get into the songwriting and like your creative side, right? First of all, so much sync placements that you have contributed to. Let me go down the list. Okay. So we have projects like The Hate You Give, amazing movie. If you have not seen that, please. Coming to America, All American, The Rookie, what else? We got some DC comics shows that I actually learned about from just in researching for you, that I was like, wait,
Yeah.
that
Blue Beetle, yeah.
okay. All of this, it serves a purpose, because obviously with the music that you have, it's one thing about that's very important is storytelling, right? Talk about how do you approach in writing songs that serve both the story
Yes.
and also your own artistry.
Oh, I guess okay. So I guess the question is more so like, how do I do both?
How do you be able to, or I will say this, because sometimes with placements, obviously you already created the music, right? And then it's just have to be a chemistry or a match to be able to get the placement.
Yeah.
So how you're able to approach in a way that it's doable for
Okay.
both settings. Let's
Got
put it
you.
that way.
Yeah. 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 Okay. I love that question. Wow. And sometimes it's hit or miss, right? Because I've actually done both. I've had syncs where the like you said, the music is already written and it's just placed. Um, and then so for music like that, I feel like a lot of times when I'm writing in the sense of both, I don't necessarily write from a personal
Mhm.
perspective. I'm writing for the sake of the message. I'm trying to, whatever message I'm trying to convey, I take my ego out of it and like, what is the best way to just say this? If it's a love song or if it's a fight scene, right? It's like maybe I've never been in an actual fight or I'm not a aggressive person, but like what's the best way I can convey this message, right? And so I think that's what kind of gives it more of a universal approach or feel. But then also, some of these music companies will reach out to you and say, hey, we need a song talking about this tempo, this is the feel, this is the sound, this is the sometimes you'll get exclusive like looks into like certain scenes and stuff, which is amazing. And so for that, I love that because I get to create from scratch and I really get to put myself in the mind of that character or that scene. And so I guess that's how I kind of differentiated a little bit. um to be honest, I haven't landed a lot of syncs that were about my personal life, like music that, about my personal life or songs that are super personal to me. And I understand why, is because when you're placing a song into a movie or a commercial, you want to have a more universal appeal. And so I think that would be I know you didn't ask, but to my advice for
Oh no,
anybody
you're
that
good.
wants to get into, sync, you have to be a little bit more selfless and think, how can I touch the audience, not necessarily what am I feeling at the time. I might want to cuss because it's just like, damn, you broke my heart, but I can't cuss in
Right.
a Disney movie. So you got to figure out,
Right.
how can I say this for some kids, or how can I say this to this audience, so
I'm
yeah.
gonna say this. I need Issa Rae to come through for you.
Oh,
Like when I tell you, when I listen to your music, like I literally I've came across you with this year, but
okay.
I went back and listened, find whatever I can of you and
Uh-huh.
listen from the beginning up to present. And when I tell you, I'm like, I need Issa Rae to find her. I need Issa Rae to give her.
Tell
Listen,
her
we
to
can
call
manifest
me.
that. Issa Rae, when you
Call me,
come out
girl.
this, call her up, okay?
Let's talk.
Like,
No, seriously. Because Insecure and like I'm a huge Issa Rae fan, and you are so on point, because I really feel like, yeah, I got some songs, I got some records, for for her scripts and for her movies and stuff. So
I
yeah,
mean, she dibbles in the independent world, so
she does, and she has a sync company.
yeah,
She has a
and she, yep, she has her. Listen, I'm gonna have to try to find, all
look,
right,
and
all
you know
right.
what? I love that you said that, because I actually got really close. I have been in communication with some of the people on her team, and I can't remember what the show was, but it just didn't end up working out. I solicited the music. It seemed like it was going through. I got the
Mhm.
contract, and then it was like, we move in a different direction. But you never know.
You never know.
Never know. So I'm glad you put that out.
I'm
Put
put
that
it out
out.
there because I'm like,
Okay.
that's
See
everything
that.
that literally gave me. I was like, oh my God, the best collaboration that she, like, I know like this would be for her based on like from how I hear her toned, the writing, the everything. It would make so much perfect sense. So that was, I
Um,
was like,
yeah.
okay,
Okay. Okay.
we praying for that. That's
We're
what's
gonna
gonna
pray on that. We're gonna work
happen.
on it.
The one thing that also that I want to kind of talk about is, when you did talk about those words being those spaces, you did talk about that separation of personal. You talk about, being able to be that character and, things of that nature. What are some of the most unexpected or behind the scenes that you feel as the creator, that you find that is maybe shocking for you or maybe I don't know, eye-opening for you in the sense of that? Because I think the one thing as we go back when we come to artistry, especially being independent artists, we in this more vulnerable state and we um like you said, there'd be days that you might want to cuss, but for this particular project, I can't cuss in this project, right?
Mm,
But what is the most eye-opening for you that helps you as an artist and helps you in your creativity while trying to grow as an
mm,
artist and
mm.
still be a creative for placements and songwriting for other platforms?
Yeah. That's deep. So what I've learned right now, probably in the last year or so, one, I think getting out of like the more getting out from under labels in the major system, and just being able to like kind of reset and figure out who I am and how I want to write and what I want to say. Um, I think it's been very transformative for me to write to no music.
Explain that, because a lot of times I think this is my first time actually hearing that from
Okay.
our creative and our artist of
Okay.
not writing to no music.
Okay.
Because a lot of artists talk about they need to hear the sound and melody so that they be able to kind of put the placement together. So
Mhm.
definitely hone in on that.
So what I do, I'm spilling a little tea, but maybe it will help, other artists and change their creative process. I turn on my voice memo. I start with voice memos now. I turn it on. Literally, it's just like silence. A lot of and I just start singing.
Mm.
It doesn't have to be words. It could be a melody. It could just be a rhythm. It could just be, or it could be just a sentence that I just say on loop. And I just sing it until it just starts to feel good. And I just start with that. And so I think that has been very transformative, because I feel like I'm capturing the most rawest sense of my creativity. Like, what is the music that is actually coming from my own heart, that is not influenced from a producer, from a beat kick, there's no other frequency besides my own frequency. And then I build the music around it, either, as a producer myself, or find sounds or beats from other people that I feel like, oh, this kind of fits. So I think that is what's helping, with the song that I have out now, like Magic, that's starting to get traction and more attention and brand deals and stuff like that, is that what I'm saying, I wrote that a cappella with no music. And then I found the music that matched the frequency that I already put out a cappella. And so I think what's catching people is that by writing like that, what I'm saying is connecting. The lyrics and the melody are connecting with people, but now the sound sounds more commercial. I think a lot of people, they find a commercial beat and they try to say something real on it, and it's hard to do. Say something real first. And then I think what's going to help too with live performance, you can always strip it back down, and I can sing Magic over guitar or just keys and give you that more acoustic indie feel. But as far as marketing and branding, you need some 808. You need the drums to slap a little bit. You need the chords to feel a little bit more like modern R&B. But I'm talking about God. I'm talking about how God can change your situation like that, and it feels like magic. And so I think that's been very transformative in my creative process. And I'm very curious to see how it continues to pan out as I continue to just put out more music independently.
Yes. And we're gonna get to your single Magic because I love that you touched on that. And I
Yeah.
do want to talk about some of the also not only that we talked about these placements and these credits that you have. Let's give you your flowers in regards to some of the artists that you have worked with and collaborated with as well. You know, Bia, Meg The Stallion, Wale, who is one of my favorites, of
Oh.
course. Kind of talk really quickly in regards to how you were able to tap in because I love, love, love what you just said in regards to how you're able to synchronize and find that energy and be able to do this in a more a cappella and then kind of maneuver and allow the music to find what you already created, right? So how are you able to utilize that same perspective in regards, or do you change that up in regards to when you're working with these wonderful artists that we just list?
Yeah, wonderful question. It is definitely a completely different approach. Because now when you're writing for somebody else or writing with somebody else, is not just your own frequency that you're tapping into. And so you're trying to understand their perspective, and you're trying to understand their motive or whatever they're trying to get out of, or the audience that they're trying to capture. So I think in that regard, that's a space where you can step into their world and you can listen to the production that they have already provided, and kind of put yourself into their perspective. I think it also has to do a lot with being very in tune with surrendering your ego.
Mm.
This ain't about me. This is Megan's project. This Bia's song. This is Callie's song. This is Wale's record. This ain't about me. So I think I'm very empathic also. And the song ain't got to be deep. I mean, this Megan style, we write booty shaking records. Okay. But
Yes.
it's like, okay, like, what's her world about? What would she say? What's the most Meg way we could say this that could, get the girls excited and get them feeling confident about themselves? And so I think that's the beautiful thing about songwriting, is that you have options, but I think the main thing is like tapping into yourself and surrendering your ego. You have to surrender your ego when you're working with somebody else. You have to surrender your ego when you're writing for a movie, production company, and they want you to write for this specific scene. And then even when you're writing for yourself, you have to surrender your ego as far as, trying to be something. You have to just let it, you just have to let, when you're writing for yourself, you have to let that God energy just flow and just say it, and not be afraid of it sounding bad at the first take, or you don't have all of the words together yet, or it doesn't sound very commercial, you know. Um, so yeah, and whatever you would, I guess I would say, whatever lane I choose, I just always try to surrender my ego and do what's best for the record and what's best for the message itself, not necessarily me.
I love it. And I love that it's like you can turn it on, you can turn it off, right? I love that you said just surrendering your ego. I'm taking notes. I hope when, we have other artists that look at this and pay attention. I hope you're really paying attention to this. And this is I feel like this interview is already by far amazing and is making my 2025. Like seriously.
Yeah.
So as we go into your new single, your latest release single, Magic, we have sat down with greats like Aaron Sledge and Gabby J, who works in between, when it comes to the gospel industry and also when it comes to like this secular industry as well, right? And we talk about the transition to music. You have this very much so seasoned song that is God-centered and it's very spiritual and uplifting, and yet it sounds like the most romantic love song like it can possibly. Maybe that's, I'm just going a little too deep or whatever, maybe that's
Yeah.
just me.
Uh-huh.
I want you to kind of talk about, the song and what it meant for you personally and how you were able to inspire that creative and spiritual shift.
Mm-hmm. Um, wow, I think the spiritual shift just came from my personal life. Like, I just had a lot going on at the time. Um, and I was just in a really down, and like I was just broken, honestly. And I really did feel hopeless. And that's really when I started writing with no music. I was just like, well, there's nothing else I can really do about this situation. I guess let me try to sing through it and see what comes out. And it just so happened that I started talking about God. Like, I never said out like, oh, I'm gonna make Christian R&B, or like I want to be a gospel. It did not happen like that at all. I was an R&B girly through and through, and then I was writing raps on the side and writing for movies. I mean, gospel just never really, or Christian music, anything. But I just could not stop singing about God. So my other record that I put out before Magic, called Everything, that's also very God sends. Like, everything is going to be okay. And there's like tons of like scriptural references in all of the verses. Um, I just, it's just what's been on my heart. And so I've just kind of been, again, surrendering my ego and just allowing it to flow, and just letting it be what it's going to be. I can't even say I'm branding myself as a Christian artist. But that's what the music that I'm making right now. And so it's working. So we're just going to continue to be authentic and put it out. Um,
Yeah. And I love it because first and foremost, the one thing about it where we transition into this era when it comes to like this neo soul R&B style of Christian music, and it's being labeled as Christian R&B, or this Christian neo soul and things of that nature. And we have amazing artists like Lee Vesey, and we have Madison, is it
and
Ryan Madison,
uh-huh.
right? Yes, like I'm coming into her, and then I think about Close Soul, and
Yes.
and all that, like these amazing, beautiful vocalists that is taking something and just bringing it to life for a newer generation. And that's
Yeah.
the one thing like I definitely think of when I hear of magic. And I think about what I think about your words, and I'm just going to say something because I want to bring this up because I love your lyricism, right? In this, when you say that um in the beginning, you said eventually you're going to see it, but don't flip that the other way. It never works out that way. When your vision is imprisoned by the eyes, you can never free the vision in your mind. I love that piece right there. I like that, stuck with me so, 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 so much. So I just wanted to throw it out there. I want to give you flowers in
Oh,
regards to that. And I love with the direction in which you're going, right? And this is so purposeful. And I think this is what makes, to me,
mhm,
um legacy music, and this is what makes memorable music, because there's something that's so relatable and that's so deep, and that, this way you said, like, well, people are hearing this and they're really seeing it like a lot more at this
mhm,
point because of the transition, and it's needed.
mhm,
Look where we're at in this point in time, what's going on, what's happening is so needed.
yeah.
I want to touch base in regards to, like you said, you talk about the brand partnerships and what you're getting in regards to the track itself, the media features. Talk about those collaborations coming together, and what is the main hope in which you want not only just you as an artist to communicate, but this song to communicate to your audience.
Wow. I would love for people to just get closer to God and just build their own relationship, with Him. That's really the ultimate goal. I love that, the brand partnerships and stuff. It gives me more support, financially. It gives so far I can continue to make this music and record and, do all of the things. It also gives, just gives it more exposure,
Yeah.
and I love the fact that these brands are kind of forced to push God-centered music on accident just because I look cute, you know? And so I
Or they
think,
never thought, or they never imagined, like, oh my God, really? That's faith
yeah,
based? Like, I
yeah,
never, I would never feel that.
yes, exactly.
Love it.
I'll say this, I think I also kind of want to make Christian music and Christian artists like, and I know it's a fine line, but just more relatable and more reachable, and like, because I'm still a person, y'all.
Mm,
Like, I'm not perfect. I don't want to say I want to dirty it. That's why I'm very careful to call myself a Christian artist, because I think it comes with so much more scrutiny to be perfect and to,
this
you know
whole pedestal
put on.
ideal.
I don't
Yeah.
want to be put on a pedestal at all. I want to be like, yo, homegirl, you know what I'm saying? I know the Bible, I read it and I'm trying, but I slip up sometimes. I cuss sometimes. I be in the
Right.
club a little bit, but I love God. And I've seen, what he can do. And I'm not perfect, but
Mm,
I do have a message and I do have a testimony. And so that's what I hope to get out of it, is just to get more people, I guess, closer to him, and also to like not walk around with so much shame, you
mm,
know, in your spiritual journey, in your Christian journey, in your whatever journey. Like, don't carry so much shame. Don't try to be perfect. Just try to be surrendered and to be as obedient as you can, and to I think the more that we share our imperfections, the safer we all feel. I
mm,
feel like a lot of it's so much depression and anxiety going on right now. Mental health is like the buzzword of the century. And I think a lot of it has to do with us feeling alone, because we don't talk. We have social media, but we don't connect, and we don't realize that, like, so many of us are going through the same things, but if we don't talk about it, or if you have that one Christian friend that's like all high and mighty, but you don't know she actually struggling, she got kids, she going through a divorce, she's battling an addiction, but she don't talk about that because she's
right.
a pious. If we had more people that were just like real, I think a lot of people would feel safer I feel like a lot of people would feel less anxious. And I feel like a lot of people would feel safer in being in Christian spaces or going back to
Yeah.
church. Or,
I'm glad that you touched on that because
yeah.
I'm sitting here and I'm just like, I literally just had this conversation the other day. And
Mhm.
I'm just like, you just talked about the fact of also when we look at like, and I know this is not to deter the
Yeah, right.
official conversation where we're
Yeah.
talking about the new music, but I think you make such a valid point, and this message needs to be heard and it needs to be shared because also I'm a millennial, right?
Mhm.
And I literally was having a conversation and I was talking, I was like, I had to break the cycle in regards to what I learned and how I learned it so that I can tell my son, like, it's okay. Like, listen, you got, like, I love God. I love him with all my heart. And I put him first in
Yeah.
everything that I do. But I was like, it's so crazy how we came from a dynamic where it was just like, oh no, just be quiet, give it to God, pray,
Right.
pray,
Pray
it's going to
on
be
it.
taken care of. Still
Mhm.
hold your head up, stick your chest up, and
Mhm.
walk on out and smile, right?
Mhm.
But there's
Mhm.
some days I'm just like, no, I'm not okay today.
I'm
And
not
I
okay
think you
today.
like you hit the nail on the head when it says that, with this music and where it's going to be relatable because we're going into this whole new generation with Gen Zs and now, the younger ones that are even coming up, they want the authentic and
Mhm.
understanding
Mhm.
of like, yo, I'm on this Christian walk because I reposted this, like it was like this funny like reel or whatever like that, and it was talk about the conversations that we have, the different conversations we have with God, and the guy was just
Mhm.
like, yo, God, listen, it's tough today. I don't know what you want me to do, but you
Look,
need to step in. And I
come
was
on.
like, those are the conversations that I have, and I tell my son like, yo, it's okay. Like, baby, you're
Mhm.
not gonna always gonna have it together. It's
Mm-mm.
okay.
It's
You
okay.
gotta have that, like, you gotta get real G with God. Like, listen,
You
they
gotta come
they
fix this.
tempting me. I'm ready to about curse them out, punch them, everything. But you said, look to the hills, come my help, and I'm looking. Where you at?
Where you at?
Where you at? It's like that, and I
Exactly.
love
It's
that you
like
said it. And
that.
we need more conversations like that. It's so
Yes.
needed, so needed. And
Yes.
I think
Thank
that's why
you.
I said that's where the realness comes in, and I think that's why I became a fan of you and your artistry, and it's just like this is what it is, and this is what real music, and it's unfortunate to say music like this don't get recognized until years down the road
Mhm.
and not in the right now,
Yeah.
especially when it's needed and it's discerned for at
Mhm.
this moment.
Mhm.
And but this is why I also said the good thing about that is this is legendary. Like this is legacy music that will build and grow and be throughout the test of times.
Yeah. I love that. Wow. Wow. Thank you.
Of course, of course. I had to put that. I was like, oh, she is speaking to my
Mhm.
heart right now. Let me
Whew.
go. But first of all, thank you for just sit down, this conversation. It's been so real, and I love these conversations like that. And this is why we have this platform, in regards to artists and the creative works and what you're doing. So those are Patient Magic. It's out now. It's on the platforms. Please
Yes.
make sure you go support. All
Yes.
right, run it
Absolutely.
up. Okay.
Please go run it up. You
Run
could
it
go to
up.
ZyahMusic.net, ZYAH music.net. It has all the links there for you for Magic on Apple, Spotify, Tidal. Everywhere you can listen to music is out there, y'all.
And before we finish up with the single, I kind of do want to go kind of step back and we said so much in regards to like you said, you don't want to be labeled as this Christian R&B artist. You just want to be an artist who kind of basically just does it all, right? In a sense, how do you end up seeing faith and sensuality coexisting and continually to coexist when it comes to music today?
Oh, wow. Sensuality. I mean, well, sensuality as far as the senses, I think is always, I think the better that you can use your senses as far as like creating imagery or painting that picture, I think that's always going um to help better convey the message or whatever you're trying to put out. um I think it's a very fine line in doing that. But I think it's it's necessary, and again, it speaks to being as authentic as possible. And I'm still working on that, you know. And I think this process, this creative process of just kind of writing from nothing and making the messaging as pure as possible, is the best way to kind of like fuse the two. If that
Yeah.
makes sense.
And being that you had transitioned from being once signed
Yes.
a label and
Uh-huh.
now just full on independent, right?
Mm-hmm.
And obviously, this industry talks about independence is the best to be, but yet it can be the hardest to be because now you got to push it, you got to create your plan, your strategic marketing, you got to pay,
Yeah.
do so much out of pocket, right? How would you say that helped you evolved and to better prepare you to be an independent artist?
Ooh. Um, man, I think it just really helped me like find my footing. Are you saying, wait, let me make sure I'm answering the question correctly. Like, how did being on a label help me as an independent artist? Oh,
Coming to help you better understand evolving as an independent artist.
oh yeah, yeah. Because you learn the business and you learn this is a business, and you learn budgets and
Mm,
budgeting and timing. Like I said, showing up on time, being places on time, how to you know, creative direction, um budgeting your photo shoots, videos, all of that, wardrobe, branding, you know, seeing a record not just as a song, but also it's a branding tool. Like, how are you not just, okay, you like this song, it sounds really good, it brings tears to your eyes, okay, but like, how are we gonna sell it?
mm,
And so I think that's what helped me. Um, you know, when I jumped off the porch and was like, you know, I'm gonna go independent. It's like, okay, Zyah is a business, and so that's I think has a lot to do with like how I dress, you know, in my videos and my photo shoots. Is like it's a little bit more cutesy and a little bit more, it's not as modest and churchy, you know, because I know at the end of the day, I think that's what allowed me to starting to land some of these brand partnerships is like, you have to be current, you have to have the look, and you have to have the image, but like the message is what's separating me. So yeah, I mean, I learned a lot. I'm still learning a lot, you know, as far as being independent, but the freedom that it has allowed me creatively has been unmatched. And honestly, I have never gotten this amount of like brand collaborations, this amount of just traction and press and like interviews, and just like I just feel like I'm connecting with people because there's no more barrier of
mm,
like, well, you got to talk to this manager and you got to go through these like bureaucracy and all of this kind of stuff, or to just get studio time, to get a budget first. And like, I just go to the studio and I just pay it and I just do it and I just make it. And I get to learn who I am, you know, without somebody telling me, oh, well, this can't go to radio. Oh, well, you know, if you talk about God too much, you know, that's going to turn people off. And no, like, this is what I want to say, and this is how I want to say it, and nobody can tell me what to do right now. And so I'm loving that. Uh,
right.
and so, like you said, there's a flip side to that because them invoices come back in my name, you know, and it's like, oh, well,
Like, hold on,
hold
hold
on. Oh, okay. But it is truly, truly, truly a blessing. And you know, who's to say that I might end up in another, you know, deal or situation. But I think at that point, um, I would advise any artist to never sign without leverage. Never sign without leverage. Like, and I think the more you treat yourself like a business, the more them labels is going to treat you like a business. because you know your numbers, you know your audience, you know how you like to write, you know your process, you know you don't like this kind of sound, you know you need to be recording in this kind of studio and not that one, you know how you like to dress, you know what makes you comfortable and what doesn't, no, like, yes, I'm willing to wear this kind of dress, but no, I'm not going to do fully nude, and nobody's gonna make me do that, because I know my own boundaries. I know my own limit. I know who I am. I know what my audience wants to hear from me. Um, and so I think the more you learn your business, the more you can go in there and like, let's do business. You're not gonna go in there as a desperate artist, hungry and willing to take scraps and not advocate for yourself. And if it doesn't make sense, don't be afraid to walk away and say no. No.
That part. And
Yeah.
I love that you said that, because I think sometimes even when I find myself sitting and speaking with artists, like I have to ask them, I'm like, well, do you know yourself? Like, do you understand, what it is? Because I think sometimes artists get so caught up in the fact of, oh, it's a label and they're gonna handle this and they're gonna handle that, but not necessarily, right? You may have something that they want, the image, the music, obviously you have a core audience in the sense of that, but what are you doing with that? Like, what are you making to be? Because there's a difference when someone is attracted to you right now and someone who's going to be loyal every single time.
Mm, talk about it.
So, and faithfully follow you.
Yeah.
So, I think I love that you touched on that. Now, for the future landscape of music, and what are you looking to do, what is the next era for Zyah, that whether that's sonically, visually, spiritually, like what is that next era or next step looking for you?
Um, I think just even more authenticity, transparency. I also think you guys are gonna see a lot more social media influencing, kind of because that's just the nature of the beast right now. In order to stay, I can only say listen to my music, listen to my music, listen to my music so much. People want to know the person, and so as I get more comfortable with sharing myself and learning my boundaries, right, as far as like how much of my personal life I want to share. But at some point, you're definitely going to see more of my personal life and more about me as a person. And then musically, it's I'm being very strategic, but it's gonna get a lot more spiritual.
Mhm.
And so right now I'm trying to, because people know me as an R&B artist and they know me from writing, in the hip hop, world, working with Megan and stuff like that. So you can't just come out fully gospel, like, tambourine. Okay.
I'm dropping a whole gospel album.
You know what I'm saying? It's like, okay, let me give you some Christian R&B. Let me give you some new messages. But as we're even magic is like, I think I'm actually, like quoting real scripture in this one versus like everything. Soft was the first record of this kind of God-centered music. So soft was very like generic. Then everything got a little bit, there was a little bit of scripture in there. Magic is like, I'm talking about Jesus. Like you know what I'm talking about. You know who we sing about. And then more music that I have coming out is gonna get a lot more direct and clear about who my Lord and Savior is, and is going to get a lot more real as far as faith and um, my spiritual journey. So I think that's what you guys can be looking forward to. It's just more authenticity, more spirituality, and just more fun, like with brands and stuff like that. So it's gonna be exciting. It's gonna be good.
Now,
Mm.
if we can get some tea, are we expecting more music for this fourth quarter? Or are we gonna have to wait to the top of the new quarter? Like, what we getting? Are we gonna how are we closing out 2025?
We're gonna let that be a surprise.
Okay.
We're gonna let that be a surprise.
I try to get the tea, y'all. Come on. I try to get a little.
You guys gotta follow me and stay up to date, and maybe you'll see some announcements coming soon. We'll just
Okay.
keep it like that. Stay tuned.
Okay, we gonna like that. Okay. Well, I mean, this has been amazing. Thank you so much, Zyah, for just really talk about your journey, really letting us in and giving us like your creative vision and mindset and what you do. And the messaging and just knowing what, how you're guiding and where and how I want to say this. Let me take a step back. Coming into this industry, whether if it's through film, TV, music, and setting the bar
Mm.
and the tone in regards to, understanding about faith, balance, just having a journey in general, of ups and downs, and knowing that, listen, like one day at a time, it's gonna be good. I love that, and thank you for being authentic and expressing this to us. And we want to continue to see you on the rise, making more music, hearing more placements. And Issa Rae, we want you to come through. Like,
Lisa, call
holla
me.
up, okay? Sis
Okay.
already has the numbers, the charts, the songs, everything. Like,
And I got records for you, sister.
she got them,
I got
okay?
the records for you, sister.
Listen, and then when Issa come through, we got to remember this interview, okay?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
We got to
Absolutely.
remember
You got
this
to come back.
interview.
Yeah, we got to do a part 2
Got
and
to
talk
do a part
about how
two.
we
I'm like,
manifested it. Okay? Yeah.
okay. All right. This was so much fun. But very last question, of course, before I get out of here, and I know you said so many gems. To artists who are beginning or pivoting or just trying to find their purpose, right, in this thing called music, right, in this walk, what is some encouragement that you're able to provide to those fellow creatives and artists that are trying to find their way, or just, or maybe they had a stuck moment and they're just trying to refine their purpose in what they're doing?
I would say to you, nobody can take your gift away from you. That's yours. God gave you that. And all you have to do is do it. That's the first step. Just do it. If you want to sing, sing. If you want to play keys, play the keys. Just start. Just start. Start by doing it, and know and trust that, this is your gift. Nobody can take it away from you. Believe in it, believe in you, believe in God, and just go. That's the best thing that I can tell you. No label, no man, no hater on the internet can stop what God has for you and your gift. And all you have to do is do it. That's my advice.
And we're gonna end it right there, okay?
You got this. You got it.
Oh my God, amazing, amazing. Thank you so much again. Guys, I am your host, Ayana Lewis Redway. This has been another amazing, amazing Indie Talks. And listen, like we said, magic is available on all platforms. Please make sure you go support our girl, all right? Because it takes so much to be an independent artist. Trust me, it does. Okay. So like she said, she got invoices to pay. All right. But also a message to be heard.
So, I love that.
Thank you so much for tuning in with us. Until next time.
Thank you so much.
Everything is gonna be, everything is gonna be.